In 2010, a group of us came together to set up what became Auckland Action Against Poverty, because we were so alarmed by the government's welfare reforms that had just been announced. And we wanted a group in Auckland that was willing and ready to take action to expose and oppose the government's agenda on welfare and jobs. The main goals of our group are to continue to challenge what National's been doing on welfare and what it hasn't been doing on unemployment, and to advocate for far better solutions to unemployment and poverty.
In 2011 we really started to grow in strength and in numbers, and this enabled us to have a number of really successful pickets and protests. The first of which was in February of that year, and we managed to occupy Paula Bennett's office on the day of the release of the Welfare Working Group report.
Maxim says they want debate. Ian's here preaching hate.
We also picketed outside a conference where the Minister from the UK, Ian Duncan Smith, was speaking, and we did this to highlight the similarities between policies in the UK and what was being proposed here in New Zealand.
The National Party's campaign launch has ended in a lockdown here at Sky City Convention Centre.
Amongst other things, we managed to disrupt the National Party election launch. This was really successful for the fact that it moved the attention away from John Key and it focused on his government's vicious welfare reforms.
Time was a vacuum when I wanted to be free. Now turn your back and go. Baby, don't say a word. I already know.
2012 was a really big year for us in AAAP. In the middle of the year we had, for the first time, 2 volunteer workers who are really focused on organising our work. That was Sarah Thompson and Chris Zack, and both as volunteers, and that really helped get us moving.
This is an occupation of MSD because of Paula Bennett's latest attack on beneficiaries.
In September 2012 we got round to staging our first full-on occupation of the Ministry of Social Development regional headquarters here in Auckland.
Some of us are locked on, and the reason why we're doing this is to protest the recent welfare reform that's been introduced to Parliament.
One of the most important things about our work in 2012 on the streets was that we had so much support from the student community. The student activists really got in alongside us, and we had some really big pickets and demos in the middle of the city, outside the Langham Hotel, outside the Sky City Convention Centre, when there were different government and business events. And we began to become quite prominent in the media as the kind of direct action group that we wanted to be, solidly standing up to the government and what Paula Bennett has been doing to beneficiaries. In 2012 we were able to secure our own premises, a physical base where we could do our work and from which we could operate a beneficiary advocacy service. Just before Christmas 2012, we launched our beneficiary advocacy service with a beneficiary impact, which was when dozens of volunteer advocates came together from all over the North Island to help hundreds of beneficiaries in 3 days outside the Onehunga Work and Income Office, assisting people to get support they badly needed just before Christmas.
2 of the main aims of our advocacy program were firstly to be able to provide support to unemployed beneficiaries and low-wage workers to ensure they're receiving their full entitlements. In addition to that, this work really helps to inform our critique of welfare reforms with what's happening on the ground. We now have 7 volunteer advocates, and together we provide advocacy support on a daily basis. In addition to this, we have 2 advocates who are based out of the Kelston Hub out west. Since the launch of our advocacy program, we've now worked with at least 500 people to ensure that they're receiving their full welfare entitlements.
In 2013 there was a new development for us. For the first time we were invited by trade union, First Union, to join with them in taking action in a campaign to stop some of the local pack and saves from introducing youth rates, and also protesting about their refusal to negotiate wage rises with their workers. And that's been quite a significant development in terms of building really strong relationships between unemployed workers and beneficiary groups and trade unions. And I think that's the way forward, because so many of the people that we both work with and for, low-paid workers, are actually the same people, are the unemployed workers and beneficiaries who AAAP helps. And it's really important that we begin to understand how we can, in practical ways, support and back each other's work.
In 2013 we held our second impact outside of the Newland Work and Income. At this impact we managed to work with around 257 people to ensure they were receiving their full welfare entitlements.
We were run off our feet. We were also horrified by the situation that so many people are living in. Even worse than last year as the effects of the government's legislation on welfare start to come through.
I didn't expect to feel that level of desperation within the people that were there and their children.
This impact also received quite a bit of funding support, which we were greatly appreciative for, including funding from Caritas.
This has been for me, a short, sharp reminder on how difficult it is for many people to ask for what they need and get what they need from Work and Income.
We decided to start an oral history project as part of the beneficiary impact, and two skilled interviewers came and joined us and interviewed some of the advocates and some of the people with whom we were working. And this is with the goal of eventually being able to, in different ways, through film, through social media and through written publications, begin to tell the stories both of the work that Auckland Action Against Poverty is doing and about the lives of the people with whom we're working.
Another way in which Auckland Action Against Poverty work to make change is through submission writing. We have a research working group who work on these, and in the past couple of years we've worked on 3 different submissions which we've also presented to the Select Committee, and the latest of which was against the Fraud and Debt Recovery Amendment Bill.
In 2013, Auckland Action Against Poverty took on another new direction with an 8-part pilot education series which was really focused around economics, aimed at anybody who would like to come. So it wasn't aimed academically, it was for the people we work with and people involved in our group. And it's been very successful. We started talking about what economics is, how it affects and is part of our daily lives, and move forward into things like what a government budget is, how that works, and then into some of the solutions that we see to unemployment and poverty, like a universal basic income, like decent job creation, the role of the community in that. Our last workshop was on challenging capitalism, and that was really popular.
We've also been working to grow a strong voice within the media to ensure that there is a critique of what's going on for welfare reform. It's a really important part of what we do to help challenge and change the stories that the mainstream media tells about beneficiaries, low-wage workers and the unemployed. And over the past 2 years, we've become a group that journalists feel they can go to for an informed critique of welfare issues. In terms of this legislation, what it will allow is for the Benefit Fraud Unit to go and speak to friends, family, neighbours, the bank, landlords, childcare providers, and tell them that someone is suspected of benefit fraud before even going and talking to the beneficiary themselves. This is incredibly problematic because in fact 6 out of 7 people who are accused of benefit fraud are in fact innocent. The seminars and the pre-benefit activities really just seem like they're more hoops for people to jump through in order to slow down the process or perhaps even make it so the person never in fact gets on benefit.
For a small, very overtly political group like Auckland Action Against Poverty, funding is a real problem and always will be. But we've been very lucky over the years to have had some support, sometimes quite substantial support from individuals. The other key place we've had support is from a couple of trade unions, First Union and Service and Food Workers Union, and we're very grateful for that. But looking to the future, it's going to be really important that we build our funding base. In 2013 we've been lucky enough to be able to pay our coordinator Sarah Thompson for the first time. It's really cool that finally we're able to pay our coordinator a living wage because she sure deserves it, but it's going to be important looking ahead that we also fundraise enough to pay another worker to go alongside the coordinator, because it's very difficult for anyone to hold a group like this on their own.
The past 3 years have seen AAAP become a credible group on welfare issues. We've managed to hold a number of actions, create a base in Onehunga, launch an advocacy program and build strong relationships with unions, church groups, the students and other organisations.
In 2014, our work's going to be more important than ever. It's an election year, which always means a heightened level of political awareness, and it's a very important time for us to not only focus on continuing to oppose and expose what National's doing, but also to lobby other parties, particularly the Labour Party, in terms of its welfare policy. I don't trust them an inch in terms of what they'll do if they're part of the next government, and it's really important that a group like ours tries to keep them honest, even a little bit honest, because so far they've come out with nothing that will indicate they'll roll back Bennett's reforms, much less do many other things which should be done in the welfare area.
When welfare rights are under attack, we stand up, fight back. When minority rights are under attack, stand up, fight back.
I'd really like to thank everyone who's been part of Auckland Action Against Poverty over the last few years, whether it's been on our actions, occupations, pickets, whether it's as part of our advocacy service, whether you're one of our generous donors, whether you're someone who's been part of our research or education team. Every single person who's helped the work of this group has played a really important role in helping to show that not all of us will stay silent while this government continues to ride roughshod over unemployed people and beneficiaries.